Welcome to Mediocre Gaming, and today we're playing Deep Rock Galactic. Well, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. I'm Zarel. Let's get to it. Alright, so today we're doing the deep dive for the week, Weeping Gods. But before we get to that, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, smash that subscribe button, and ring that bell to be notified of all future episodes as soon as they go live. Alright, so let's get into it. So the first stage of the deep dive has Swarmageddon as a modifier, and you have collect 6 alien eggs and repair 2 mini mules. So like any deep dive, you can play either solo or you can play with up to 3 other players, and that can be pre-made or match-made. Deep dives as a whole, they have 3 stages to them. It's a very raid-like environment where you have to go through procedurally built levels where you have a variety of enemies, variety of objectives, and unlike normal assignments, you don't have a secondary or optional objective. You only have 2 main objectives, and they are both mandatory before you can move on. So this week, it is all in the magma core. So you're going to have to watch out for, the lava and the fire that's going to be all around. So you have to be wary of that. In the first stage, you have to worry about the swarmers. You're going to see a lot more of those than you would in a normal stage because of the modifier and because the alien eggs is the primary objective. You have to get 6 alien eggs instead of 2 or 3. And then the mini mules, you just have to repair the mini mules. You don't have to worry about anything else. So you don't have to do any of the the drop pod fueling and uplinking and all that you normally do with a salvage mission. So once you get your alien eggs, you can check the terrain scanner if you have problems finding them. And then, of course, make sure you're looking out for Nitra and gold. Nitra will let you call in those supply drops, which you are definitely going to need during the deep dive, at least a few times, and more likely than not, more often than a few times. So make sure you have plenty of Nitra. Call in the resupplies when you need them, and try not to waste Nitra on a supply drop that you don't need. So there we go, done with the first stage. Pretty straightforward, not too difficult. The swarmers make it a little bit more challenging because you have to look for these tiny bugs, but not too bad. So moving on to the second stage, and this is a good time to remind you that everything carries over from one stage to the other. Your health, how much ammo you have, what resources you're carrying, so nitra and gold, if you didn't have a chance to drop it in the mule or on the side of the drop pod, you'll still have those and you can drop them into the next stage, either on the drop pod or wherever it is available to you. Second stage, there's no modifiers, but you have liquid morkite refining and 2 alien eggs. So this week, you have alien eggs galore. So as with refining liquid morkite, you have to find the liquid morkite first of all, and then you have to call down a pump jack, connect the refinery to the pump jack. Once all 3 are done and you have the alien eggs, you'll have to do that first before you can start it up. Then you can start up the refining process and get that liquid morkite refined and added to your collection, so to speak. Once again, make sure you have your eyes open looking for any gold or nitra veins throughout the level. If you're low on health, either use a resupply to get some health back, and or look for that red sugar sticking out of the wall. So as the refining commences, you're going to have swarms of bugs coming at you. So it is best to keep moving or be in a location that is easily defensible. So either a place where there is only one way for the bugs to come at you, or keep on the move, start grinding on one of those pipelines and just kind of go back and forth so that the bugs have a hard time, or a harder time, I should say, tracking you, and you're a moving target, so you're a little bit more difficult to take out. Now, as you're refining, so when you are in a group, it's always best to have one of each class, so that depending on what comes up, you'll be prepared for anything. If not, then you'll have to kind of compensate based on what classes or what jobs that you have, what types of dwarves you have on the deep dive. So engineers and gunners are generally better at taking out bugs than the others. The driller is very good at creating paths for other dwarves through rock, obviously, and the scout is very good at getting at places that are relatively difficult to get otherwise. So if you're a scout, be on the lookout for hard to reach resources, and then of course point them out so that your gunner and or engineer either can make a way to get to it, or create a platform so that you can zip line up there and extract it without taking fall damage. So not zip line, but grappling hook, but you know what I meant. Everyone has their own travel tool, and each one works better in different situations. So having said that, make sure you're working together. Make sure you're marking points of interest, things that you want other people to know about, or the direction that you're heading, etc. So communication is always a good thing. So make sure that you are communicating in whatever way is comfortable for you. If you want to use your mic, get on the mic and talk to them. Sometimes there's a language barrier. People speak different languages, so that could be an issue. So at the bare minimum, make sure that you're using your laser pointer and marking what is necessary, whether it's resources, objectives, enemies, points of interest, a direction that you're going, just as long as you're letting your other team know. I had team members that were saying, hey, use this zip line over here, and would mark a point next to a zip line. People mark resources that they can't get to, and or need a platform in order to make it work, etc. So just make sure that you're communicating and doing what is necessary to get the job done well. It's not just a matter of getting it done. If you get it done, but it feels like a real chore, I would say that you're not really doing it right. If you're if you're meshing with your team and everything just seems to be going well, you don't go down as often, or none of your teammates are going down, or not going down very often. Maybe 2-3 times during the deep dive, so maybe once per stage. That's really good, I would say. So just communicating, just saying what's going on is going to help you out in the long run. not only to keep people abreast of where you're going, but also what you're doing. So while you're doing stage 2, make sure that you're communicating, and once you get that percentage close, once you get it around 85% or higher, you may have one more breakdown before you hit 100%. Once you hit 100%, go ahead and send it out to orbit. You still have to wait a minute or so before your drop pod comes in. Hop on the drop pod as quickly as possible and get out and move on to stage 3. Now, do be aware that there is a challenge of completing the entire deep dive within 45 minutes, which my team did on this particular run. This was entirely a match-made team, so it was not pre-made. It was random people coming together and just kind of knowing what to do on different assignments and what your role is really helps out. All right, so on to the 3rd stage. We have a full salvage mission and Morkite extraction with elite threat. That means that you will occasionally see these like roid rage bugs. They're kind of glowing red, and they're elite, which means that they're going to do extra damage, bonus damage. So make sure that you are prioritizing those elite threats quickly so that your team isn't under threat of going down. So of course, Morkite, just keep your eyes open while you're looking for gold and nitra. Keep your eyes open for that. Look for the mini mules, scan them, and then you can find the legs, repair them, and then return to the drop pod. But that's not the end of the mission. You'll have to get the uplink ready and other stuff, all that regular stuff that you do on a salvage mission. And hopefully by the time you get to the 3rd stage, you'll have the ability to call in at least 2, if not more, supply drops without even mining any nitra. That will help you out a whole lot. The more nitra you have in the deep dive, the better off you're going to be, period. Because you won't be like, oh man, I'm running low on this. I better stop shooting, or I better run around for a while. You're just going to keep on taking the bugs out one after another, because you can say, I'm running low, but we've got plenty of nitra. I'm going to call in a supply drop here in 30 seconds. Or, oh, there's a wave coming. I better call in a supply drop so that we are flush with ammo and grenades, and we're ready for anything that the swarm has. So you just have to make sure that you have that ability, or have the supply of nitra, so that you can order the resupplies, get those supply drops, not only for the ammo, but also, if you're running low on health, getting that supply drop will add to your health as well. So once you get the uplink done, then a fuel pod will be called in. So just look for where that fuel pod is going to drop. Connect it up to the defunct drop pod, the drop pod that was left behind. Maybe call on a supply drop close by. You know it's going to be relatively close to the drop pod, or should be. Occasionally it is a little bit higher elevation or lower, which makes it a little bit more difficult to connect. But get that connected as quickly as possible, because there are still going to be bugs that are going to be coming at you, not in the swarm fashion that You do once you have to kind of zone control like you did with the uplink, and then of course once you get the fuel line prepped. And then once that's done, you just have to wait for the drop pod to power up and then get on and get out. And that's it. I hope you enjoyed this video. Be sure to check us out on social media, and thank you for liking, commenting, and subscribing. And we'll see you next time.
One sentry gun ready to go. Fire in the hole!
Fuel cells at 50%.
Sentry gun needs assembling. Rock and roll! Sticky grenade! Dart rocket! Platform! Fire! Platform's placed. Hold on, suckers! Stop shooting, you pointy ear! I'm in lower. Ready to kill some more. Right down! Bloody solid! And here I
Fuel cells at 75%. You're almost there.
What? Jaw-dropping experience! I got the tri-jaw! Reloading! Light is up! Getting more ammo! Lighting! Jaw-dropping experience! Bring it back! Sticking it!
Fuel cells fully charged. Drop pod engine powering up. Hold your ground. We're almost ready to pull you and the goods out.
Rock!
Supply pod requisitioned. Launching now.
Over here, marking point!
Pod reactor spooling up.
Back the hell!
Onboard mainframe booting. Calculating orbital trajectory. Powering radiation shielding.
Lock and loaded. Flares are out.
ECOM operational.
Red sugar. Ready to hurry. Getting supply. Cryo grenade.
Pod thrusters calibrated.
Incendiary grenade. That's it, lad.
Drop pod powered up and ready to leave. It's time to bring it all home. Get on board, we're leaving with or without you.
The flares are recharging. Watch the fire, moron. We are unbreakable.
Extraction commencing. Good work.
Weapons ready.
GG, guys.